Surrounding each of the parties in Britain is an ecosphere. And this is one of the problems that Nigel Farage has, actually. He doesn't have an ecosphere around him, or at least not a very rooted one. But the Conservatives do. And the Conservative ecosphere it's weird, man. These people are weird. Tim Stanley is one of the weirder ones. He writes for The Telegraph and is a regular columnist there. And when Kemi Badenoch became the Conservative Party leader, I mean, this was his article. Mummy won and I'm very happy. She'll give this country the kick up the backside it needs. I mean, it speaks to a certain kind of class in Britain, the British aristocracy having very weird relationships with their parents, right, with their mothers in particular. And I just find this to be disgustingly cringe. Like, you're a man, you're like 40 years old or whatever you are, Tim, and you're really calling the leader of your party Mummy? Mummy won! But we already knew, because minutes before the result was announced, Gemrick Stauffer came in, blah, blah, blah. Like, this is so weird. Such a weird frame. And, of course, it goes on. Isn't it great that we've got another female leader? We're the first great party to have a black leader. It was total cringe. Everything the meritocratic Tories are supposed to be against. But it's also true. So, again, I've made this point many times, but the Conservatives will be everything the Labour Party has demanded of them. They will just become whatever it is that the Labour Party have determined are, in fact, the moral truths of the world. They have none of their own. And I find it so insufferable, absolutely so insufferable, that such puerile and servile men are supposed to be the people we're supposed to vote for. It's like, no, I'm sorry, I just don't really like this, right? I don't like a bunch of I don't really trust men who have a Yoruba mammy fetish, because it makes me think that, one, they have a weird relationship with their own mothers. It makes me think, two, they aren't really the authors of their own destiny. They're not really men as I understand a man to be. And three, it means that they're going to be so easily blackmailed or morally browbeaten into a particular direction that they'll just capitulate. They'll say, oh yeah, good point. Because I'm not a man of moral fibre of my own. I don't have a spine. I, in fact, am going to look to my Yoruba mammy and say, excuse me, mummy, what do I need to say or do at this point? And she'll tell you. Because you're not really your own men. And that's really what I just find very gross about the Conservative Party. It's full of these types. And I don't like it. And the thing is, like, you'll get Tim here will say things like, well, the dying Conservative Party has Kemi derangement syndrome. It's like, okay, yeah, we know that she's your mammy and you love her. But he comes to the end of this and says, the total extinction of the party might be a kinder outcome than leaving it with its rump 24 MPs in a reform landslide. So, okay, well, then have you considered that maybe it is your Yoruba mammy who is actually responsible for the landslide as a part of a structure and network within the Conservative Party that is actually full of really weak and pathetic men who actually don't know how to lead, who actually don't know what this country actually needs, and don't have the moral fibre to turn the Conservative Party in that direction? I would rather the Conservative Party die than be whatever it is this is meant to be. I don't know what you think you're presenting to the world, what we're supposed to take away from it, but I take away a really craven, fawning, unmanly impression from your party. I look at it and go, oh, right, okay, gross. I would rather John Prescott, frankly. I mean, Alistair Campbell, for all his faults, is at least not some sort of wimpy mummy's boy. Like, they're not gross men who make your skin crawl when you're in their presence or when you read their words. But people like Tim, I mean, God, why would I want this guy? And of course, after being like, yeah, no, it would be a kind of fate that for the total extinction of the Conservative Party. After saying that, now, that's true, don't get me wrong, the kindest fate that we could imagine is the total extinction of the Conservative Party. Because, who was the Labour Lord? There was a Labour Lord, I can't remember his name now. He was on TV or Politics Joe's podcast the other day saying, look, if the Conservative Party dies, the Labour Party dies as well. Which is, well, that's a really interesting revelation that, in fact, it's a two-party cartel where they basically do the same thing and agree on everything. And this has been the case since, well, Margaret Thatcher, through to Tony Blair, through to David Cameron, through to Boris Johnson, and through now to Keir Starmer. We can see, as Peter Hitchens calls it, the zombie party propping itself up. And that's completely true. And so actually killing off one of these parties is a good and worthy goal to end the paradigm of what these parties represent. The left and slightly less left progress of liberalism into the future. And the pathetic fawning, as I said, and just embarrassing people that this props up. I just don't want this. And yet, the kind of unmanliness, of course, despite being epic failures, the Church of England, the Tories are worth saving. It's like, no, actually, no, that's not what a man says, Tim. When something has disgraced itself to the extremes that the Church of England and the Conservative Party have, you don't need to save them. The rot is systemic. It goes too deep within these institutions, and I'm sorry, but frankly, we should stop allowing them to act as a fifth column in our country, destroying the traditional way of life, and being held up as a shield by people like you. Because you are arguing here that, well, I mean, they're epic failures, bringing forth what we could just call Marxist subversion of our country. Well, they still need to be saved. It's like, why? They're in the middle of Marxist subversion of our country. They're currently destroying our country. These were the things that were meant to be bulwarks against subversion, bulwarks against the destruction of the country, something in which we could place our faith for the continued transmission of tradition into the future. And look at them. Look at the absolute state of them. The Church of England is fucking disgusting. And the Conservative Party has put an African in charge. And so I'm not saying that you can't have an African in politics. What I'm saying is, why are they in charge of the party that's meant to link England's past with its future? Why are they there? Why are you fawning over your Yoruba mammy in the Conservative Party? What is it about you that makes you so pathetic and ethnically ashamed that you're like, no, we need to have the black woman in charge? Why? Because then Labour won't call us racist. It's like, my God, man. Like, of course they're going to call you racist. But you have a weird emotional attachment to mammy, don't you? That's what this is. And the thing is, as well, it's not like you don't know that British politics hasn't shifted irrevocably to the right. Keir Starmer is now to the right of the Conservatives. Reformer, of course, to the right of Conservatives. And this is a problem for the Conservatives because they've been left alone in the centre ground because they have no core principles. They have no personal convictions. And so they're like, right, okay, oh, right, we're all centrists. Oh, right, okay, great, we'll run to the centre. Look at us, we're the most centrist. We've had I don't know, probably a gay prime minister, actually. I don't even know if they have had a gay prime minister. I assume they've had a gay prime minister, we've had a woman prime minister, we've had a Jewish prime minister, we've had an Indian prime minister, and now we're going to have an African prime minister, and suddenly, why are we alone in this? Why is the Labour Party full of, oh, look, they've elected another straight white man as a prime minister. That's incredible. What about reform? Well, they want to end indefinite leave to remain. Right, okay, shocking. But here's the Conservative Party in the centre ground where no one else is, because it's always running to catch up with what the trend is, because it doesn't do anything that it's supposed to do. It's long abandoned any commitment to tradition in this country. Like, you would have a very strong place to plant your feet, to push against the modern world If only the Conservative Party and its orbiters had any moral fibre whatsoever. If only. But they don't, so it doesn't. And so it finds itself once again adrift in the sea of shifting politics, unable to understand why it's fucking irrelevant and why nobody is interested. Oh, but Mummy is moving to where the voters really are. Because Kemi Badenoch gave a very tepid speech that all the Tory boys on Twitter are like, oh my God, best speech ever, best speech ever. Mummy's going to save the party. Mummy's going to save it. Again, it's Tim Stanley writing this. I'm just going through his articles, discussing it as the sort of weather vane of politics. It's just remarkable how they are just so... They're literally like invertebrates. Actually like invertebrates. Like they don't have a backbone. There's nothing strong or solid in them. And it's really grim. And again, for those who don't believe in miracles, I give you Kemi Badenoch. Her party is hated. Rivals want her job. Why is it at that point? Why? I mean, and Kemi Badenoch, I love the Yoruba Mammy is a miracle to Tim Stanley. That is amazing, isn't it? But why has it come to the point where your party is hated? Like, it should be that at least in any given epoch, about a third to about half of England is just like, well, obviously we're happy with the country. We love our country. We love our history. We love the continuum in which England sits, and we want it to be transmitted into the future through future generations, through the way we've always done things, because they are time-tested and reliable, and they work, and they create standards of which we can be proud, and they created us, the people who are happy in this place, a prospering place because we work hard and we've got good morals, and so it should be basically a half of the country are just inveterate Conservative voters. They should never be able to be like, well, obviously, I'm going to vote for... So, obviously, I hate the Conservative Party. That should be impossible to say, and it should be in all classes. Right? Genuinely, a sort of Disraelian coalition should always be like, well, yeah, I don't want the country to change very much. And if we have to change, I want it to be the minimal amount. And if there's any sort of, hint of leftism, hint of anything that's not deeply nativist about this place, then that belongs in the Labour Party, in the Greens, and that ridiculous spectrum going out into the heat map of we love foreigners and strange things, right? Because if you had been a party that was particularly parochial and refused to change, literally stood like a rock in the face of all of the bullshit of the modern world and said, no, you know what? We're going to do this. We're going to do things in the way that Edmund Burke would recognise. Actually, I think the Conservatives were doing a hell of a lot better in the polls, which is why Boris Johnson did such a good Churchill impression. Right? That was his whole point. That was his shtick, to pretend, to put on the mask of being a part of the tradition of this country, and then to basically stab us all in the back. But don't worry. I mean, look at this. Mummy is back in charge, bro. You are like, I don't ever recall seeing the Conservatives so low in the polls, but this is the last desperate hurrah for the Conservative Party, isn't it? This is just desperate. This is the Kemi we've waited too long to see. A woman who came to this country and made a success of it. Oh, great. Great. The party of immigrants. Is that what you are now? The party of fucking immigrants. Do you not understand what the Conservative Party was meant to be? It was meant to be the party for those people who were actually attached to their country. That's what it's meant to be. And the best you can be like is, look, we've got a Yoruba Mammy immigrant. Labour can't call us racist. We are basically America. We're just an open place for immigrants to come and make their lives. And that's how we're going to advertise our fucking selves to the electorate. It is unbelievable that you guys don't understand what you were supposed to be for and why this looks fucking ridiculous to the voters you're supposed to be courting. It's genuinely incredible. This is really bizarre. And I'm sorry, but I'm not surprised this isn't really working. So this big push, and like I said, it's been full frontal assault from the Conservative Party that got them from 16% of the polls to 18% of the polls. Took 2 off the Reform, maybe 1 off Lib Dem, who knows. Just Nigel Farage on 32% in this poll. And that's assuming he doesn't come out tomorrow and be like, well, you know what? Indefinite leave to remain and deport every illegal and lower taxes. Maybe. Who knows, right? Like, who knows? Nigel Farage, in the last couple of weeks, has been a lot more right-wing than the bloody Conservatives. And the closest that they can do is, well, we're going to abolish stamp tax. Don't get me wrong, I would love to see stamp tax abolished, but that's not enough, mate. That's not nearly enough. And this big push to save this party that's been hemorrhaging its own MPs and councillors to reform, let alone and like Ed Davey is patrolling like a shark. Hey, Tory wets, why don't you come over to the Lib Dems where you really belong? Yeah, why were there any in the Conservative Party? They should be looking at the Conservative Party in the same way that, like, the Nazis looked at Julius Evola, but like, bloody hell, he's a bit right-wing, isn't he? We can't be having him. Like, David Starkey should be basically the left wing of the Conservative Party. You understand what I'm saying? Like, it's shocking how lost this party is. And yet, you're like, okay, well, vote for us. Like, no, I don't want to. I really don't want to. I don't like this gross framing that the Conservatives have. And a lot of them are like, mummy will save us. That's genuinely what they seem to think. And I don't like what you've done to us. I've seen not nearly enough contrition for what you did during the 14 years of stabbing us in the back, where you became just a full-on Blairite party. No contrition whatsoever. I mean, I want to see people, like, it would make sense for you to be just firing people, like ejecting people from the party, right? Kemi Badenoch, if she was smart, she'd be like, right, okay, draw me up a list. I mean, this is what Rupert Lowe said. He'd just chuck out about 70 MPs. Just 70 of them. Just, no, you're all Lib Dems, get out. To fix the Conservative Party. That's what he'd have to do. And there's no understanding of this in the Conservative Party. That they are a party that don't understand why they exist. That don't understand why people ever voted for them. And don't understand why they become the default alternative when Labour go too far. They don't understand what they're supposed to be doing. Like the Conservative Party should have nothing in the way of ideology, but it should have the existence of the lived tradition of this country that they are the custodians of. They should be passing this fire from generation to generation. But instead they have a fucking African in charge. Instead they have Tim Stanley going, oh, my Yoruba mammy's going to save us. Oh, we're going to move to where the voters are. We're going to move to the right. Guys, get ready. This Blairite party is moving to the right. Shut up. You are weak, pathetic, unmanly, traitors. And I don't want you. I want you to collapse so the Labour Party can collapse and we can finally put the 20th century to rest.